reincarnation, if it is true and I don't come back as a lesbian,
God better put me in an animal body before he puts
make me a dog.
Make me a dolphin. Do not.
If I come back as a straight woman, I swear to God. Hello and welcome back to Made It Out. I am so glad you made it here for today's conversation because it is such a good one. We're talking about how the patriarchy brainwashes us into thinking that being straight is the only option and why that makes life tough for a lesbian or anybody who steps outside of that box for that matter. And my good dear friend Sarah Jensen is here to have this conversation with me. I haven't ever called you Sarah.
I was like, who is she?
I know. That's me. You are SJ to me.
I can be Sarah too. I do. I'm like circling around to Sarah Jensen.
I get that. I only ever went by Mallory until I came into like my lesbian life.
We have to do a little bit of a rebrand.
And now I'm Mal. And I'm like, wait, but my name is Mallory. I like my name Mallory. So I have an identity crisis too.
That's okay. Don't worry.
What do I want people to call me?
We land on, it's kind of also like how you identify. Like I throw things out sometimes. I'm like, SJ, Sarah, queer, lesbian. It depends on the day. It ranges.
SJ is an incredibly talented artist. She's a visual artist, graphic designer. Painter. We actually have an SJ original in our back office that we love so much. SJ is so herself. She's so confident. There's so much depth and brilliance. I really do just like enjoy our conversations every time we talk. So I'm so grateful that you're here.
Thank you for having me. Yes. Truly, it's an honor. I was a little shooky when you asked. I was like, what do I have to contribute? But I totally agree. Like we always have the best conversations. So I'm honored and it makes sense. So thank you.
Yeah, of course. So let's dive into this light, happy topic.
Let's get into it. You lead the way.
Where do you think you fall on the sexuality spectrum? I know I sent you a bunch of quizzes. I've been doing like the am I gay quizzes.
Which is also so nostalgic. Do you remember searching that?
Of course.
Like my laptop always at like half kiln on my stomach, like of the things that I would search. I wish I was able to have like a printout of the things I Googled when I do not wish that. Age. You don't, but you do. I mean, I don't either. I would have to like read it with like a half open eye, but that classic Google search of am I gay?
Am I gay? And how
like, gay am I?
One quiz will be like, you're gay. And then you're like, okay, another quiz.
Also, you're like trying to like blog pop-ups. Like all of these pop-ups are happening. Like the site is so sketchy. You don't know how authentically you should answer. Like, yes.
It's like on the family computer and your parents are like, how did you get all these viruses? It's like, I'm trying to figure out I'm gay.
No, girl, I got the viruses from being like, you want a free nano? I'm like, Mom. No, the viruses came from me thinking that like I was constantly getting free gifts.
Okay, well, where did you land with these quizzes? Where do you fall on the spectrum?
Oh, I definitely knew it would be very gay. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's interesting answering these quizzes because, I mean, we both are in relationships. So especially now I'm just the biggest gay, like gay, gay. But I'll always find boys cute. Mm-hmm. But I don't like, it's so unserious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's like a horse, like looking at like a horse, like a beautiful horse that's in a meadow. I'm like, gorgeous. And like the hair is bellowing and like maybe I have an apple and I'm like enjoy, but I'm not going to get on the horse. Are you crazy? Like, absolutely not. I have no interest. So like, I'm going to let him run free. And I just like, my journey is not intersecting with his journey. That's a horse.
But when did you dated men?
I did. I was so brave. The way I committed to the cause, I did. I tried my hardest and I just didn't think there was any other way. And so like in high school, I had 2 boyfriends in high school.
At the same time?
No, I wish. I'd be such a slut. Like, wow. I'm like, I really went above and beyond.
Extra credit.
No. I spent so much time trying to think of like, how did I feel in high school? And I just kept having this feeling of like, I'm doing what just remembering I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, which is meeting a boy and getting to know him. And like, he showed interest and I just wasn't tuned in at all.
But so you were consciously aware that you like were gay, but you were still dating men?
No, I wasn't at all. I truly wasn't. But I would do silly things. I was thinking about this last week. I was like, what were some of those like silly things that I did where in retrospect I was like, ooh, was very gay. Like the my 5th to 6th period class, I remember I would take like a route that made absolutely no sense to pass a girl that like was a friend of mine that I just simply adored, and I needed to pass her. It was out of the question. Like that was just simply what I looked forward to every day. And that's gay. And when I didn't see her, heartbreak. Like my own little heartbreak going into that class.
I definitely went down the boy path, and I was having sex with guys. Were you having sex with guys?
In high school? Mm-hmm. I didn't have sex in high school. The first guy I had sex with was in college.
And was it a boy? Like it was a boyfriend that you were going with?
Yeah, it was a boyfriend, a sweet British boy that I just remember being like, I like him, and he's like has such an interest in me, and like I want to do this. I should be doing this, like in college, you know.
It's so hard to decipher. Do I want to be doing this, or is this what I'm supposed to be doing?
Yeah, I think that's the voice that's so impossible, which is like, what is true to me? And you get older and you like, your things fall more in line, and that voice becomes stronger, and you're like, I want to do this, I don't want to do this. And that's like the joy of, you know, aging and experiences. But at that time I was like, yeah, I should be doing this. I'm like, this man flew across the Atlantic Ocean in the entirety of the United States of America. Of course I must do this.
It's my duty.
It's my duty. And then it happened, and it wasn't great. And then, I mean, and this is just the through line of all of it. Like, I'm very happy it all happened, everything in my life. I mean, obviously I wish I could have, you know, a string to pull here and there for certain things. But at the end of the day, I'm like, oh no, it led, you know, in the most corniest of ways, it led me here. So I'm fine.
I mean, I completely agree. But it is a lot of, even in like these tests for the spectrum, when you go and you take a lot of these tests, it's like, what was your past like? How many have you had sex with more women or more men? And it's like, well, I've had sex with more men in my life, but that's not my fault. Like, I was taught that that's what I was supposed to do. So then I'm like a 5 on the Kinsey scale, and I'm like, actually, that doesn't really resonate
my God, you know
with
what's
me.
Funny? I stopped doing the quiz. You sent me 2 quizzes. I did one quiz it's the sweet quick one that kind of like places you on that graph. Oh yeah, I was like, chill, fine. And then the other quiz, I was like, I'm not loving this. I don't think I finished it
because they just don't account for things like compulsory heterosexuality.
Also, oh my God, such a through line too, and like maybe you feel this way with high school and college. It's just like the deep desire, and like the survival might be dramatic, but it's like you just simply had to fit in.
Yes,
I was like full, like all hands on deck. I was like, I'm gonna commit to the cause, and I had my thing in high school, and you know, identity is such a slippery slope. But like in college, I was like, I'm gonna be fun, I'm gonna be social, and I'm gonna live. I'm gonna live with a capital L, and I'm gonna have fun, I'm gonna party, and I'm gonna do what all of my friends are doing. So we have something to talk about when we're hungover eating bagels. I'm gonna smooch a boy so I can participate in conversation.
Exactly. But it's like, and then you like dissociate. You're like, okay, all right, yeah, I did it, haha, and you like laugh about it, but it's like, no, I actually didn't want to be doing that. But you don't really come to those thoughts like until years later, until now.
I know, I look back on like a boy, I never dated anyone seriously in college, but there was this one really sweet, kind boy who I went on like 3 dates with, which was like the most, and which also looking back, I'm like, gay. But all my friends were like heathens and degenerates, and like even like the straightest of girls. No one was like, it wasn't popular to necessarily date, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, I remember this like very particular memory of we were playing Xbox, which also I'm like gay. I was like, that was my shit. I'm like whipping his ass and skate. I'm on Xbox and I'm like so into it, and he's like trying to like, you feel like the paw on your knee, and I'm like and like he's clearly like not interested in the game, but I'm like so invested in the game. I was like, that's gay. If a girl was doing that, I'd be like, wow, with the controller, and I'd be like, I don't care about the game. I'd shove the TV, and like, you know, but with him, I'm like, we're finishing this game of skate.
But it's hard to see those in the moment.
Yeah, it is.
And when we've been taught a completely different thing. I mean, I had a different experience. I grew up in Texas where like it was popular to date.
Yeah,
and it was popular to like, you should be with someone.
How did you navigate it? I
dated boys.
But was it like method acting? Like, did you feel like you were Daniel Day-Lewis, or were you able to like be removed enough to be like, I don't know what you guys are doing, but I'm in. Were you in on the bit?
I don't know. I think about that, and I've always said, like, because I was in theater and stuff growing up, and I was like, I'm not a good actor. I can't act. I can sing. I can't act. But Actually, I'm like, I dated men for
Yeah,
for
wait
a long
a
time.
wait a second.
Actually,
Can we not you instilling confidence that I can act? Yeah, because I really did the thing. I did the thing. Oh my god, you're right. I didn't think about that.
I went down the road, and let's talk about it in the bedroom. I was an actress.
Like, I love your work.
I don't know. It's really hard to pull apart what was me and like when I was actually in my body and when I was outside of my body.
Yeah.
Trying to like just fit in, like you said. So why do you think it's so much harder for women to figure it out early in life that they might be gay or like not straight?
I don't know. There's so many ways to answer this, and this isn't the absolute right one, but I do think that there's an anchor to this, which is like the biological clock is real and family planning is real. And that got such a sterile way to describe it. But it's like, if you want to have kids, you need to do certain things to line up with that. And I think that like everyone's reality is a bit different. And I think that your reality is really dictated by your 5-10 closest friends. And like, that is what is real and what is feasible and possible. And you don't even realize it, but it is what it is. And so I think if your 5 closest friends are getting engaged and they're talking about kids and there's this like catalyst and this immediacy, and it's like, well, why am I misstepping? Why can't I get there? Why am I not falling in line? But like being gay, I feel like it completely, it shakes up the expectations, and it's like you don't have the Candyland chessboard or the very structured chutes and ladders of like, this is next. It's kind of like go crazy, build whatever you'd like. And it'll be interesting to see where I land maybe like 4 or 5 years from now when I'm 34, 35. I'm like, because you just can't ignore that question. It's like, do you want to have kids?
Sure. I think for me it was hard because I went from that, and it was hard to transition from this Texas straight life into the gay life.
Did you get whiplash?
It kind of does feel like whiplash because it's
like my neck.
It's so different. It's like there's no rules. The rules are very different. There's open relationships, and not everybody is talking about getting married and having kids, and like in that timeline. But that's the reality
I'm talking about. It's so crazy. I mean, even on the opposite side of it, like say that hypothetically speaking, I was like, I really wanted to start a family, and I was like really hunkered down, and I'm like, I want a wife. And I want the house, and I want like, and there's lesbians out there, that's their truth, and it's beautiful. But it's like, you'd probably feel crazy on the other side of it.
Sure.
Being like because I would say like the baseline is you're wholeheartedly invested in yourself and what you want to accomplish and where you want to go with your partner and what that looks like, and being present with friends and having fun, that you'd feel crazy wanting to have kids, I'd imagine, at like 29.
I also think it's really hard, going back to the original question of like why it's hard for women to figure it out, because it's so normalized in our society for women to be miserable with men.
Oh my god.
So then you're like in this relationship. You're in this relationship with a man, and you're looking around and you're like, yeah, you miserable? I'm fucking miserable too. This is like,
your girlies are miserable. That's what you kiki about at Starbucks.
Exactly.
When you're spinning your pumpkin spice lattes. You're not allowed to be in a good place with your, like, why would you?
There's no motivation to in those settings. So it's
I know,
like,
but that, oh god, that brings up a whole other thing that, and we're not absolved from this, of like comfort being in a space that's not necessarily good for you. Like you can make things comfortable that are like really not in your best favor.
Sure.
Maybe one of my greatest fears, like waking up and just getting yourself into a situation that you just can't command Z out of, or you can't undo. And just this idea of waking up in this world that you've made and you've orchestrated and you really had a part in, and not wanting that at all.
Oh my God, SJ, I think that's like my gayness. That was always what being gay did for me. Like even back when I was in relationships, full blown relationships with, you know, joint bank accounts and cars and houses and all of these things, and just not happy, and not knowing why I'm not happy. I should be fulfilled. On the outside, my life looks like what everybody says it's supposed to look like. So what the fuck is going on inside of me? And I feel like that was my gayness. It was like this thing that just was always like, oh, this ain't right. This ain't right. This ain't
It's her
right.
tiny voice. I call
Yeah.
her tiny voice.
There you go.
She will scream if you ignore her long enough.
Fucking screaming.
Yeah, you can't silence her.
Yeah.
Like, it's so much more than your sexuality in a sense, because it's just like, to negate that is just to unalign yourself. It's just so big. It's like such an honest thing, and like everything kind of falls into place. And if you do ignore it, it's like it creates this crookedness. Like, yes, obviously it has everything to do with who you're sleeping with and who you choose as a partner, but like it's just more than that. And that's with
Totally.
like anything. If you deny yourself it a long enough time, like it's catastrophic.
When you're shut off to one part of you,
Yeah.
you are more than likely shut off to so many other
Yeah,
parts of you. And
totally.
when I came out, it was this unraveling. Like, oh, it's not just
It's a good word.
sleeping with men. I had eating disorder problems for years that all of a sudden I'm just not really having as much. They're always there, but they're not as prevalent. And it was like this total switch, and the lights came on, and I was like, oh my God. And then when you start going down that path, you're going down the path, and you're like, I'm never going back to any of that. I will never live
You
like
can't,
that again.
I mean, you can't undo or unsee that.
And I think because for so long I didn't trust myself and I didn't listen to my impulses, like with just being gay, but also like with my job. I worked a corporate route when I didn't want to be working corporate. I would have rather done musical theater or sang or something, and I didn't go down that route. I've gone down so many paths that just didn't match how I really authentically feel. So it's so hard to trust my instincts now. And this is like what I spend most of my therapy sessions talking about, like what is actually me and how do I get to the core of that and figure out what is conditioning and what do I actually want.
That's such a muscle. And actually, if you think about it, like taste is such a thing. I had a friend ask me the other day, like, where did you get your taste from? And I think it's such a fun question. Any person, any individual, any human, it's just how you choose. And that's anything. It's like why you like a color more than another color, why you gravitate towards a certain object, like what your story is and like the impact it has towards you gravitating towards, like, honestly, material things, whatever. There's such like this idea of it being superficial. Like, I really don't believe that. I think that it's an incredible thing to be able to like feel a certain way, especially with identity and figuring out who you are. Like, so much of my confidence has come from paintings and films and writers and being like, I really like this and I really don't like this. And it sounds maybe crazy out loud, but like that's given me so much value with my relationship with myself. And it kind of has nothing to do with being queer. And it also has everything to do with being queer.
Yes.
And like, even I brought some reading materials, but
Literally.
I did, damn it.
For this conversation.
I know you. I saw you look stressed when I brought these in. I'm like, don't worry, girl. I did not send you any required reading. But like, I think this question of like role model and how and figuring things out. And I have to say, like, I'm really proud of myself to the person that I am today, and like liking what I like that. Nothing about that has been apathetic. Like, it's been very, like, I have made a really concerted effort to be a nerd and to look at a lot of paintings and to go to a lot of museums and to watch a lot of films and read about a lot of things. And it's just like, in that process, I've like really encouraged everyone to do so. However you want to do it, you get to nerd out, and like in a really corny, chuggy way, like you get to figure out who you are, because no thought that you have is original. I say that with love, and I say that in like a great sense, because it's not. It can be authentic, but it's not original. Someone has felt that feeling. And then you start to discover painters like Jenna Gribbin. Oh God, I love her so much. Like, she's so important. She's this amazing oil painter. And I'll never forget seeing her work for the first time in person. And it struck such a chord, because she's gay and she's a lesbian and she's married to this woman, and she makes these amazing giant oil paintings of her wife. And it's like these most intimate moments. And it's crazy it's that feeling that you feel when you're like, oh, I'm not alone, I guess, in like the most sensitive, vulnerable. That's what the statement is. But more so, you're like, oh my God, I feel seen. I'm like, I'm an active participant in this. I have this feeling. I can talk to her about this. If I was 9 and I saw like a titty that she painted, maybe that actually would have helped me. But
could have helped.
It could have helped. But like, there's so much material that I wish that I just was a little bit, that I had been exposed to save me headaches. There's so much art and literature out there that would have saved me headaches.
Totally. And I think also just learning, like you said, it's a skill to build that muscle.
Yeah, it's a muscle.
The trust muscle with yourself.
Totally.
And to just be like, it's so hard because I have like siblings and sometimes, you know, your siblings bully you. Like,
hell fucking
why do
yeah.
you like that? Like, ew, you know, whatever. But like, I wish I would have built that trust muscle from a young age of being like, no, fuck you. I like this. This is, you know.
Are you older or younger?
I'm older, but I allowed my younger siblings to
just run train
bully me
on
and,
you.
like influence me, you know? But
See, like, that's so sweet, though, because, like, I have a younger sister, Shelby, who I'm so close with. Thank God I'm obsessed with Shelby. I don't know where I'd be without her. But I even think about, like, I was in a taekwondo, and I was, like, that full raging athlete. And she was not interested, but, like, God damn it, she put out. She played softball. She tried taekwondo. Like, she did all of these things, and she did not like them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's, like, you could do it on the opposite side, too, where it's just, like, you're troubleshooting. You're figuring out what you like and what you don't like.
Totally. And I it's almost weird, like there's an embarrassment in trying things or like
there always, even now. When have you tried something new as an adult? It's so humbling.
Podcasting. I'm like,
True.
But
you're crushing at it. I mean, you're doing really well.
it can just be something where you're like, like I don't want people to see me fail or be like
to be perceived
cringy or,
is exhausting.
yeah.
Scary.
So learning, and I learned that the way you do that is just in silo. Spend time with yourself and like fall in love with yourself and what you think is cool, and learn to think that you're cool for the things that you think are cool. You know, like
Yeah, trusting thyself. You're right. Also, it's such a thing of like, you have your relationship with yourself. I have my relationship with myself, and then I have my relationship as it relates to people around me and my friends. And there's always a cognitive dissonance between that. Like, you'll never be fully understood or seen by the people around you, and that's not something to be sad about. That's being a human. But like, you have to like, I try at least and keep that relationship with myself pretty full, which does require time. Like, that's a time investment. I don't love myself all the time, but I try my best to check in with myself.
And I think that's ultimately what brings you closer to these answers about where am I on some sort of spectrum, or where do I fall with my sexuality. It brings you so much closer when you just know yourself and you know your gut and you're like, no, this is what feels right. So
being queer prompted that, I think, way more so. Like, I actually double down and give a round of applause to my friends that, you know, really there wasn't a lot of sexuality questioning. There wasn't any of that. It was like them trying to troubleshoot who they are, which, being a human, is exhausting. It's hard regardless of how you fall on that spectrum. But it's like, wow, people like to break, I think, the mold as someone who's has those expectations, who's surrounded by people. I'm like, I go to weddings a lot with my friends, and from college, like, I'm always the token lesbian. There's simply no other lesbian. I found an older lesbian couple at the last wedding, and I almost had a stroke. I was like, what are you doing here? They're like, I don't know who you are. What are you doing here? I'm the lesbian. I'm the lesbian. I was like, how did you guys get here? They're like 50, they're 50 something. They're like, who are you? But you know, back to what I was saying of like those friends from college, I can just tell the one person that isn't in a serious relationship where there's a ring around the corner. I'm by the end of being around all of the girls, I'm like, I'm stressed for you too, girl.
right.
I'm half kidding, but it's like, it's real.
Your environment affects you. So
yeah,
when
that's
you
your
can break out of
reality.
that,
So like the girls that can double down and be like, I am who I am, and I know my worth, and I know what I need, and I know the partner that I want, and I'm not going to settling. That's the word. It's settling. I see it like in italics. It's sparkly. And it's like settling. I think it's easier to kind of like dip dodge settling being gay.
Yeah.
Also, maybe I'll eat my words 5 years from now. We can check in.
Yeah. Where are they now?
I'm like 29. I'm like, I'm on top of the world. Me settling out of the question.
I think the one thing I will say too, with like just being in those cultures and how to get out of the misogyny and the homophobia, is pure exposure. Because I think even within myself, we all have it. Because society teaches us these, you know, they brainwash us, like I said, to thinking that being straight is the only way to be. And so I think the only way to get out of that narrative and to get, you know, a new way of thinking is to be exposed to queer relationships and queerness, not only as a sexual act, but just like seeing happy
Just living.
relationships
Yeah.
and happy friendships. And, you know, I think of my parents, even though they were so accepting, I had the greatest experience coming out,
that's great.
truly. But I think there's still this period of tiptoeing. It's like, oh, well, what can I say? And what can I not say? And what do I call
yeah.
you? And what, and maybe even still this like belief of, oh, are you really going to be happy? Like, can you really live the fullest life as a gay person? And Matilda and I would talk about this,
yeah.
and Matilda would be like, you know, I think they just need to come and see our friends and meet our friends and
Totally.
be around them
Yeah.
and be around this beautiful group of women who are just dynamic and funny and intelligent and successful, and see that like we're just like you. We just like to fuck
Literally.
each other.
You know, I'm fucking dying. You could poll people on the street asking, like, especially 50s and up, like, do you know any lesbians? B, what are they like? It's like, you're gonna get wild answers.
Totally.
Because you're right, they just need to hang out with all of our friends. Like, I'm
And then they'll be like, wait, I think I kind of want to be a lesbian.
yeah. And then they're envious. They're like praying to God, like, please next go around birth me in a hot little woman body so I can be interested in girls.
We've talked about this before, and I'm a yoga teacher, so I am definitely of
my God, that's
the
right.
Buddhist, you know,
Yeah.
the mindset, if you will.
That's what stresses me out about dying.
Reincarnation, if it is true, and I don't come back as a lesbian,
Could you imagine?
that is a terrible thought.
God better put me in an animal body before he puts
Make me a dog.
Make me a dolphin. Do not.
If I come back as a straight woman, I swear to God.
Even my straight girls, like, it's tough out there. I almost feel guilty talking about like the woos and woes of being gay. I'm like, do we have it bad or not? That was a doubling down. I was like, I really had to think back. I'm like, oh God, like growing up was really hard at times. But right now I'm like, ooh, like navigating boys now as a straight woman, at least with my friends. I'm like, that's rough.
Yeah, I don't miss that.
I don't miss that at all either.
Nope. Okay, SJ, what advice would you give to someone who's kind of going through the am I bi, am I gay, or dealing with that internal struggle of trying to figure out where they land on the spectrum?
I would say it's such a godsend to find a connection with anything, especially another person, that just don't deny yourself the exploration of that, and don't overthink it. Don't let your brain think yourself into a corner, and don't try and package it and print out a clean label to put on it. It's okay to not know what it is. Most great things can't be defined, so don't try doing that. And like just like explore it earnestly and honestly, and like nothing bad will come from that. Like if it's honest enough, it's like you must see it through.
Yeah.
And also, like, if you haven't had conversations with women that are like in their 40s and their 50s, and like it's this thing of like, I've missed the train, and it's just like, no, there's no train, there's no fictional thing, there's no like grand narrative or something to like be tethered to. It's like, it's so special to feel that, so just like see it through.
Yeah, I say that now, looking back on kind of my experience of coming out later, and even though there's some special nuances there and like just some things that make that a little bit tougher, it's like it's the best thing that
It's
has
the best.
ever
It's
happened to me.
euphoric. It's the only thing that we're meant to do. Like all the corniness in this answer of like, it's literally all we're meant to do is love. So just like don't, just do it.
Just fucking do it.
Just do it. And also like the last part of that is that I'm gonna say is like, no one cares. Like, I wish that I could tell my younger self that, like, everyone is so fixated on themselves in the sweetest and honest of ways. Like, no one is looking left and right. I was so hyper vigilant of how I was perceived. The reality and the sadder reality is no one has the bandwidth to take on your issues and to fixate on you. Mm-hmm. You are simply not special enough. And I mean that in like a harsh sense. And I wish that I heard that. I really wish that I heard that. I think it would have freed myself a bit to just do things that I should have done earlier.
My sister told me that when I first came out. She said something like, "You are not very unique." And that sounds
iconic.
so mean,
No, it's
but
iconic.
it's like,
It's so important.
she meant it in the most loving way.
Totally.
Of like, you're not alone.
I love that take.
You're
That's
not
really
alone.
what it is
Yeah.
it's you're not alone.
Yeah. And like you said, no matter what the outcome, no matter how bad you think the outcome is going to be, what is going to come from being true to yourself is so much fucking better.
It never fails. It always rewards you. If you're being honest and you're operating appropriately. And by appropriately, I mean like the tiny voice, respecting
Yeah.
the tiny voice.
Build the relationship with your tiny voice.
Yes.
Maybe start with movies
Pull
or
up, yeah.
film or paintings or
Yes, reach out to me. I will give you a required reading list. I will give you materials. Read the materials and then pull up a bar stool to yourself and be like, what is good?
Yes.
What do you need? What's not happening? What would we like to fix? And get that going. I like truly see myself as like a big marble table with like 12 versions of myself.
Yeah.
That are all competing for the talking stick.
my therapist tells me that all the time.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Like,
keep her. Love her.
she's always like, you have so many different identities within you.
Yeah.
And you just have to decide like, whose turn is it to like have a voice and to
Yeah, switch those girls out. Some need microphones more than others.
Yes, yes.
Sometimes I'm like, you gotta pass that talking stick along.
Yeah.
But they're all important and they're all there for a reason. And like Polly Noor is an amazing artist from London. Maybe you've seen her work. She's an illustrator. And she draws demons and she draws these like demon skins and they're really tender and they're sweet and they're rendered so innocently in a cartoony kind of way. But I think it totally strikes a chord with like, women are wild. We're really wild. We're like absolute labyrinths. That's why trying to date one is so hard because I don't know what I need. How am I going to know what you need? Simply impossible. Sometimes I'm crying just because I'm crying. I'm like, what is this? What is this moisture? And I'm like, oh, clearly I'm upset about it.
oh my God, SJ, I've never resonated with something more.
I know. And then Carly's like, are you about to cry? And I'm like, no, I'm fine. And then everything's misty. And I'm like, oh, and it takes me like 20 minutes. And then I have to be like, yeah, clearly something you said upset me. Being a woman's so hard. Having feelings is so hard.
But also so beautiful. So we take submissions on TikTok for advice.
Oh, fun.
And Liz, 34 from New York, asks, I came out as a lesbian when I was 18. I've only ever dated women, and now I have a crush on my male coworker. This is an SOS. What does this mean?
Oh my God, iconic. I doubled down with what I said earlier, which is it's amazing to find an attraction anywhere. So I say go for it. Absolutely, 100%.
And also just so cool to be that in touch with yourself.
Yeah.
That you know that this is an attraction that you have.
Yeah.
You know that this is something that you're like, good for you for being in tune with your feelings. And again, follow your feelings. And
Follow
nothing
your
bad is going to come of
feelings.
that.
Nothing. Lead with honesty and love. Cheers. Good luck with your coworker, but also like don't fuck who you work with.
Yeah, don't shit where you eat, though.
That was my second thing. I'm like, yes, this is so good, girl. Like pursue it. And then I'm like, wait, you said that she works with him? I'm like, no, run. Like don't do it.
Different problem.
I know. I was like, I have yet to hear a story like a love whirlwind romance that it ends on a high note.
Actually, me and Matilde met working together.
Shut your mouth. Are you serious?
Different situation, but yeah, she was a producer on the reality TV show, the lesbian one, and she casted me. So we'll see how that one works out.
I'm spinning. This is the first. Wow, this is fateful. Okay, in that case, I have been corrected. Like I said, I am always willing to have my mind changed. Iconic, excellent. You guys did. This is tea. I had no idea.
We play a game, and it's
Okay.
called You Haul or You Ghost. She still uses Snapchat.
She's 21.
Trying to get the
She's 22. Ghost. No, it's a kind let go. Snapchat? Who is she? Who uses Snapchat?
What if she's like our age
That's terrifying. You know that's terrifying.
with like the bunny ear filter?
It'd be even worse than it's the ick.
Yeah.
It would give you the ick.
Yeah.
It would give me the ick.
She has your same first name.
Oh my God, I have to
SJ.
date. Oh wait. Oh, they're gonna say Sarah. Okay, well say like Sarah, like say like I meet a Sarah Johnson.
Right.
I couldn't do it. Actually, it's kind of a bit. I don't know. Like, okay, like I'm wife, so we're thinking hypothetically, but like a Sam Jansen, like
Sam J. It's SJ and Sam J.
Sam J. No, you just answered it for me, Ghost. Nope. Nope.
I have a feeling you're gonna like this one.
Oh boy.
She collects taxidermy.
Taxidermy? Wife.
Yes,
What was it? Oh, haul. U-Haul. Where's the U-Haul? I was looking at oh, this is so sick. Whatever. I don't care. I was looking at these taxidermied rats that wear pencil bags.
What the fuck?
I know.
But you know what? Also,
I know.
that doesn't shock me.
I know, and that's why I'm not defending. You hear me defending myself? I'm not. I'm like, I was shopping pencil bags that were taxidermied rats.
Like, you Googled that?
No, I was obviously the algorithm served that up, and I was like, It works well. It knows what it's doing.
You are a case in point.
I know. People are always talking about the algorithm serving them like aloe things, and I'm like, you're not getting the rat pencil bags.
What?
That's how deep and scary technology is.
That is honestly,
I know,
really scary.
But okay, in all seriousness, taxidermy. I think there's something interesting visually about it, but. Like, I have a ceramic dog at my house. It's not taxidermy. You met Butina. What a catch she is, right?
What a catch.
Gorgie. She's wearing a tie right now. So like, I would like a girl that's into, but also, okay, so taxidermy, I feel like usually, you're right, I do love this question. I'm like, let me spend 30 minutes on it. But usually taxidermy is associated with hunting.
Right.
So you have to assume if you meet a girly that's like really into taxidermy, she probably killed it. Or her dad killed it, or she like lives in that world, and it's probably not ironic or for a bit. So maybe on second thought, I'm gonna have to ghost.
Okay.
Unless it's the rat pencil back. In that case, wife.
Got it.
Haul.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful answer. She uses a gift card to pay for the first date.
Flex. We're at CPK. Haul.
Honestly, CPK, great carrot cake.
Yeah. Niche. I love that though. They serve carrot cake. Girl, I go to CPK like twice a week. I did not know that they serve carrot cake. I was trying to out myself like that I go to CPK that much. No, I'll stand by her. I love CPK. My name is SJ and I love CPK. I'll try the carrot cake though. Usually it's the vanilla one.
Well, SJ has brought us champagne that we drank the entire bottle during the episode. We have a little bit left to cheers with.
I'll take it.
So, cheers. I love you.
I love you. Thank you for having me on. This is so much fun.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to today's episode. Support lesbian content by rating, reviewing, subscribing, and following. You can find our guest at Sarah Jensen, our show at Made It Out Podcast, and me at Mal Glowinky. This podcast was produced and edited by Matilde Jordan and worked on only by lesbians. So send this episode to every single person you've ever met to spread the gay agenda.
Twist my hard nipples, gaze into my smooth brown eyes, sapphic Rorschach test.